Namaste and good evening to all of you. Once more, we have a topic with us which relates to every moment of our life. Knowingly or unknowingly, we live in fear. And no wonder this fear, as the topic that we have worded goes, corrupts our mind. At first, it may seem the word corrupt may be too strong a word, but we will see now that it's not all that strong word. What happens to our mind when we are harboring fear is indeed a corruption. The mind loses its purity, the mind loses its simplicity, a childlike innocence. Our mind loses its objectivity. The mind cannot see things as they are. Instead, imagines things which are not true. Therefore, a movement away from truth or actuality into fancy imagination happens. Recently, a statement by Mark Twain came to me, and it goes like this. Mark Twain says, I have suffered a great many tragedies in my life, most of which never happened. Look at his witty way of putting it. I have suffered a great many tragedies in my life, most of which never happened. Then how did you suffer them if they never happened? Yes, that is where the vicious dimension of our mind comes into the picture. The mind imagines, oh, this may happen, that may happen, what may, this will happen. Now I'm going to perish. So and so will ruin me. The new policy of the government will cause devastation to my business. And in this particular relationship, so and so, such and such will let me down, will insult me in public. Oh, I will go from being somebody to becoming nobody. This is terrible. I can't bear it. So every one of us, on occasions, because of fear, imagine such scenarios and then we suffer. And that time, if somebody comes to us and all he wants is a little care and a little attention, because we are already imagining terrible things, we will not be dealing with that person. We will not be meeting that person with any love or care. We may even go to the extent of yelling at him, don't disturb me now. Or sometimes very cleverly, we may speak to him with some kind of pretended tenderness. Oh, how nice it is you have come after a long time. We may speak like that outwardly, but inwardly, our mind is saying, should he not come some other day? Should he come today only? He is making me miserable. That is called corruption. I'll read Mark Twain's statement once more. I have suffered a great many tragedies in my life, most of which never happened. The play of mind is indeed hard to manage. That is how in the Upanishads it is said, Dvitiyad vai bhayam bhavati. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad of Yajurveda says, once there is duality, Dvitiya means someone second to us. In a manner of counting, I am the first, and here is the second one. It could be a colleague, a brother in law. In Hindi, they use the word sala many a time with some, you know, anger. Sala, ye kar diya. Like that they say. The word sala, I guess it means brother in law. But it could be anybody. Dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati. Krishnaji has said, a mind that has fear is a corrupt mind. Oh, whose mind is free from fear? Singularly or individually or collectively, there is so much fear. People fear our country may go to war. People fear another country may attack us. Communities live in fear regarding each other, and much of it is imagination. Whether there is a true prospect of war or conflict or not, the mind, once it is seized with fear, becomes the breeding ground for many negativities. Krishnaji says in one of his powerful utterances, the mind that has fear is a corrupt mind. It may go to churches or temples and endlessly repeat sacred words, but this has no meaning because the heart and the mind are corrupt in fear. To understand fear is quite a different problem, but it is important to understand and to understand the immensity of death. End of quote. Why does Krishnaji say fear corrupts our mind? As we said in the beginning, to start with, you and I are very innocent. We have what they call childlike innocence. But when fear takes hold of our mind, we become selfish. We begin to safeguard our own interests. We become insensitive to what could happen to others. We may even use sometimes very unparliamentary language. Somebody says, if this way you behave, what will happen to him? What will happen to her? And then we may say what I called unparliamentary language. Let them go to dogs, we may say. Why such bad words come from our mouth? What happened to us? Why not we say the same in some decent language? Well, I am concerned with what could happen to them. Let's see how we can ensure that she or he or they do not land in much trouble. In this way, a bit of expression of concern for others could be in the scene, but many a time we become so indifferent. Expressions like we are least bothered, we say. Well, do you like it if others say about you that they are least bothered about you? We don't. So the golden rule of ethics says, do unto others what you want them to do to you. But when the mind becomes corrupt, we don't do to others what we want them to do to us. As I reflected on this topic, with my background of the Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, and so on, I saw a parallel in Gita. Sri Krishna says, if you are drawn to sense pleasure without discrimination, like you eat whenever you feel like eating, you go after some other sense pleasure, just ignoring whether it is the right time to do so, whether it is ethical to do it, and so on. There is a verse in the second chapter which says, if somebody's mind behaves like a boat going on a river but is caught by unfavorable winds, a boat with a sail up, suppose is caught by unfavorable winds, the boat may meet with an accident, may go to pieces. Giving that analogy, that shloka says, so is the mind which is drawn towards sense pleasures without any thinking. So there it is not fear, but it is desire. Desire for instant gratification can make our mind behave like that boat with sail up, but moving in wrong direction, maybe towards a rock, to crash against that rock and break into pieces. So it seems desire, anger, fear, all these corrupt the mind. That shloka, lastly, also says, Prajnam Harati. One loses one's prajna. Prajna means intelligence. Prajna is the ability in you and me to see what is right and what is wrong. Prajna is, in that sense, viveka. Viveka says goodbye to all our transactions. We operate through aviveka. We do what is wrong and we don't do what is right. Because, first of all, this corrupted mind doesn't see at all that this is right and that is wrong. So, interestingly, this loss of prajna, loss of viveka, loss of intelligence, loss of the ability to distinguish between what needs to be done and what ought not to be done, that loss of prajna seems to be common to the three cases. We are caught in kama, desire, krodha, anger, and lobha, greed. And fear is intimately connected to all this. There was this Nisargadatta Maharaj in Mumbai. He said, life is driven by desire or fear all the time. And he pointed out desire arises from memory of pleasures enjoyed. We want it again. And fear arises from memory of pain we suffered, and we don't want that to happen again. Somewhere we went and they threw rotten eggs at us. Let us say, let me be a little dramatic, permit me to do so. Last time I went to that town, if the people there are too aggressive and they have a negative opinion of me, they threw rotten eggs at me. I don't want to go anywhere near that village. Somebody assures us, no, a lot of change has taken place. They regret what they did to you last time. They will, in fact, welcome you with open arms. Please consider going to that town. He said, I am afraid the last behavior The behavior of the last time will repeat again. So Nisargadatta was so true. Fear is born of memory of painful episodes of the past. Maurice Friedman, who was very close to Krishnaji, also drank from the fountain of wisdom from Nisargadatta Maharaj. So, how common or how wise men have so much in common. Fear corrupts our mind, meaning unnecessary aggressiveness, unnecessary greed, unnecessarily being so preoccupied with one's own needs and being blind to others' needs. These distortions of the mind in such measure that becomes perplexing or that becomes difficult to understand for others. Why is this lady, why is this man behaving in such an aggressive manner? Well, this lady or that man has a fear that unless she or he acts aggressively, things will go terribly wrong. Therefore, people raise their voices, people do gestures, people do acts of such cruelty, and their conscience at that time justifies it all. Therefore, we must be very attentive to the movement of fear. The mind again and again creates images of others. When we say duality is the cause of fear, it is not physical duality, but psychologically there is this imagination. Hey, look at him. I think this man is going to be a danger to me. The mind says. And on other occasions, the mind says, hey, look at her. If she becomes my life's companion, ha ha, my life will be so beautiful, full of happiness, and so on. And then next moment, you see that lady walking away with another man, and you get angry. Or you are afraid somebody else will take her away. I want her, and so on. So that's the interconnection between desire, anger, and fear. Desire thwarted burns into anger. Desire fulfilled may grow into wanting more and more. And desire possibly not being fulfilled. Probably it will not be fulfilled. That prospect of my desire not being fulfilled causes fear in me. Therefore, all these are psychology, and maybe 1 in 100 situations it is literally physically true. 1 in 100 cases, somebody might be literally physically coming towards me with a dagger in his hand, and his only intention is to finish me off. But 99 out of 100 occasions, that person has no intention and he doesn't carry a dagger. But I imagine before he comes near, I will shoot him down, and so on. This is what is called corruption. So it's a mighty challenge. Our mind is corrupted. Our desire for not only sense pleasures, but for name, fame, desire to become somebody, wanting to become causes all these negativities. And the antidote, the medicine, the panacea for all this seems to be no other than choiceless awareness. When we are choicelessly aware, then we see clearly the misidentification we are into. We see clearly how the mind is flying to heights of imagination, far away from the ground of reality. Why do we call it choiceless awareness? In choiceless awareness, we do not analyze, because in analysis, certain limitations of our mind caused by conditionings, those old conditionings create a biased, prejudiced analyst in us. And this analyst analyzes. So we may think we are very smart in analyzing a problem, but the analyst, that psychological entity in us which is analyzing, is prejudiced, is biased, has made many presumptions, is not going by facts, not going by truth, going by fancies, by imagination. Therefore, choiceless awareness is the suggestion here by which is meant keep away the old thought, keep away the influence of the past, keep away your conditionings. Don't be a conditioned analyst. And in order to be an unconditioned observer, there has to be a quality of having no choice. In traditional literature, they talk about certain pure self, which is free of prejudice. The pure self is pure, it's eternal, and the pure self is fearless. Krishnaji, of course, never liked that language of proposing a pure self. He said all self is you limited, all self separates. Moment you desire to realize the so-called pure self, there is right away a certain formation of the self with all its limitations, with all its undesirable aspects. Whatever it is, maybe the pure self is not rightly understood in certain circles, but in certain other circles, perhaps the proposal of a pure self, or Paul Brunton called it the over self. After meeting Ramana Maharshi and getting deeply touched, he went back to England and wrote a book, The Wisdom of the Over Self. For the normal self is ego, it has fear, it has desires, it has revengefulness, it has all its conspiracies, it is into wicked ways, it pretends to be very pious, but behind that piety there is so much of shrewdness and self-seeking. Whereas the over self, as Paul Brunton used the word, is ever free. And therefore, they talk. Someone like Ramana Maharshi talks about Atmanishta, stay as the pure self. Let the limited self, let the separate self, which is called the ego, let it die a natural death. If you do not water a plant, the plant dies a natural death. Do not water this self, the separate self, and let it shrink, let it get weak, let it die. Therefore, there is an advice. Meditate on your pure self. I guess it is not different from choiceless awareness. In choiceless awareness, you just are not joining hands with the self, the limited self. You are aware of the movement of the self. You are aware of the movement of conditioned thought. And as awareness, you do not take sides at all. Thus, we have so much of wise inputs from very many seers, very many mystics. In that way, we come back to the main idea how, unless there is enhanced ability to observe, to be aware of how our mind is working, especially the clever self in us, is again and again coming out with newer plans, all meant to boost one's own status in the society, to protect one's own superiority or supremacy. Collectively, also, countries in the world are seen to go to any length to topple governments of other countries, to destroy their business, to destroy their prosperity, their growth. For what? Well, that is how we will remain most prosperous. We will remain, at the front. We are the front runners. All others are behind us, and we get so attached to being in the front. We become so excited, so uh, obsessed with wanting to be number one. We are number one in the world, in everything, any field, any domain of activities, be it business, be it sports, be it military strength, be it the number of Nobel Prizes that are won by country citizens, you name it, in everything, we are number one. So this desire to become number one is another corruption of the human mind. Then that desire, that ambition to be number one makes the mind corrupt. Therefore, friends, to me it seems desire corrupts the mind, fear corrupts the mind, anger corrupts the mind, greed corrupts the mind. And therefore, we need to be very vigilant. We need to keep an eye on these movements of fear, desire, jealousy, greed, and so on. No wonder they have been identified as the very, very basic corrupting factors. They destroy us. In the Gita, it is said, Kama, Krodha, and Lobha are the three doors to hell. So leave aside the hell up there somewhere at some distance, another world, another loka, but there is going to be hell in this life itself when we fall a prey to these psychological movements. Nobody objects to the biological movement of wanting to eat, wanting to drink. Many biological phenomena happen in the human body at different times. But the psychological dimension is something which we truly can, through observation, through greater awareness, we can put aside, we can weaken and eliminate psychological um, movements, psychological insecurity, and so on. Thank you. Let me pause here and listen to some of you and interact a little bit for some time. Namaste.
Shakti please unmute and say if you want.
Thank you.
Shakti please unmute. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
My voice is reaching, sir? Yeah.
A bit slower. Please
Yeah.
make it a loud one.
Yeah. About fear, there is one fear from some event, like someone coming with a dagger or some snake, that fear is different. It's a biological fear. And it suggests that if you can understand the psychological fear, then you can deal with biological fears. And psychological fear is imaginary. It is either born of remembrance or born of anticipation. And Krishnaji also suggests that it's the same mechanism like pleasure. If from remembrance I cover up my boredom, remembering something beautiful or anticipating something, imagining, all that movement of pleasure, if there is activation of that, then the fear, psychological fear, is bound to be activated. They both are interrelated. So it is not possible to understand fear without understanding the movement of pleasure. And another thing I would like to say is that, you see, what has been translated as the self with a capital S or pure self is, this is my feeling that Krishnamurti uses a word for that phenomenon, is intelligence, as awakening of intelligence, he said. And that intelligence is impersonal. So the moment we use the word self, there is some touch of personal, whether we call it pure. In Sanskrit, the word Atman doesn't have that sort of problem. So that is one thing which I wanted to say. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Prasad, sir, please unmute and say. Prasad, sir, please unmute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, I have nothing much to say, sir, but I want to refer to another statement by Mark Twain. Not that it has anything to do with today's topic, but as Swamiji has referred to one of Mark Twain's statements, the other one is a companion statement, I suppose. He says, old people, old persons, have a great memory for things which never happened. That is, in old age, we keep on remembering things which never happened. So that is something like that. So, sir, Swamiji has made a good differentiation between biological fears and psychological fears. Biological fears are real. As Shakti ji has said, like a snake or a fire or a precipice. Krishna ji speaks often of precipice, a big rock, and you are on the edge of it, and then naturally there is big fear. These are physical fears. There is no escape from them. Then psychological fears. We have, funnily, we remember some incident of pain, some incident which caused pain. You go to a dentist, he extracts your tooth, and then there is pain. You go next time, you fear. You think that the same pain will recur. So, by remembering past incidents which caused you pain, you fear. That is one thing. Similarly, in the future also, you think, I will die. You are not dead today. You will die sometime later. But you are afraid, I will die. What will happen when I become old? Nobody will take care of me. My children may not take care of me. Or I may become bankrupt. So all these fears are there. And naturally, when the mind is full of fear, there is no clarity. There is no clarity. There is no objectivity. There is no factualness. You are not facing facts. You are not dealing with facts. You are dealing with your own imaginary fears. So this is quite common, and that is our human lot. And Krishnaji has awakened us to these facts. So what happens? You are rid of fear, or if you are not rid, at least it is reduced. Your fears are reduced. You become more normal. You become more sane. You enjoy life. When there is no enjoyment of life, and uh, when you are full of fear, and Swamiji has said, not only fear, desire, ambition, greed, envy, these are all corrupting factors. Yes, they're all corrupting factors. And uh, our ancient tradition also is full of those things, kama, krodh, and all those things are there. And even medieval England had these things, 7 deadly sins and 7 cardinal virtues. They distinguish it like that. 7 deadly sins, like a gluttony and all those things come under sins. And the cardinal virtues, so many things are there on the virtuous side. But Krishnaji, I think, says thought itself is a problem. Unless we realize the process of thought, the origin of thought, and also its place. It has a place. He doesn't say it has no place. It has a place, it is a very valued place, but we keep on thinking, the mind keeps on chattering, that thought creates a fear. Thought also adds to pleasure, because it is thought that creates pleasure. Thank you, sir. That's enough.
Waghmare sir, would you please unmute and say? Waghmare sir. Please unmute Waghmare.
Are you able to hear me, sir?
Yeah,
Hello.
very well, sir. Very well.
Today's topic, this word corruption has been used in a different sense, rather, in my views. Actually, fear distorts the mind. Swamiji said that is the more correct word. Basically, this corruption, when we say, it comes under the becoming part. Because of the divisions and fragments, and because a person is individual, he is having inadequacy, he is having a lack of energy and all that. So he wants to be successful in life, and he wants to earn some money, or whatever insecurity he is having, he goes for that. And then if he is not able to do it perfectly or correctly or to his standards, get the money or gains, then he goes for the corruption. Otherwise, what is fear is basically a very deep-rooted thing, and fear is basically what? It is a born instinct, means innate hardwired tendency, and roots of fear are very, very deep. And thought and time are the major factors of it. And as Swamiji says, Swamiji has actually, I am with Swamiji, and whatever Swamiji has said, I am with him. So nothing much to talk about this. But one thing is there, this comes under a part of becoming. And of course, the background is because he is ignorant, and there are so many things. And even if we see, even when it comes under the part of becoming, then your calm, krodh, lobh, moh, matsar, everything corrupts the mind. Or we can say that jealousy, and then your jealousy and violence and anger and all that, everything corrupts the mind. So this is not the this comes under basically this all the your vices. So every vice will corrupt the mind, more or less. So we can say that if we talk of mind, then it distorts the mind rather. So when the mind gets distorted, then he goes for the illegal things and other things. He involves himself in the things which are not as per the norms of the society and all that. So this corruption of mind is again uh, comes because of the craving to become uh, which causes fear to achieve, and so to depend uh, endangers fear. Here we have not discussed so far about this dependency. When you go for the becoming, you are always dependent on somebody or some external situation or other things. And that dependence also makes the corruption in the mind. Suppose you want something and you want to get it, but other is getting it and you are not getting it. Then by hook and crook you want to get it. Or such a tendency comes in your mind, or some such idea comes in your mind, then mind gets corrupted. And that is a part of your living. So I don't think it is so easy that by choiceless awareness we can remove this corruption of mind. Superficially, yes. Superficially, situation will be there. You will be corrupt. You will be under the corruption. Mind is under corruption, and then that corruption will go as soon as the situation goes. But otherwise, deep-rooted psychological things are basically, we can say that those memories are made because you have faced some situations at that time. And that time, that was the survival mechanism to survive in a particular situation. And that becomes your experience. And with the time, you have all collected those experiences and kept in memory. Now, when you get older, this you can understand that these memories are not of much use, or this. If you are aware, as Swamiji said, if you are choicelessly aware and you see and you are having wisdom, you have gone to that level of wisdom, then probably you can be free from those memories. Otherwise, it is very difficult to stop the mind from the corruption in today's world. I'm sorry to say, but it is a difficult process, and one has to be very, very alert. At the same time, we should have the fresh energy. Again, here comes the question of indigeneity and fresh energy. If he is having the fresh energy, he can be free from the corruption. But if he doesn't have the fresh energy, then whatever field he is, suppose he is a saint, then he will say, "Yaar, others lectures are taking place more. He is earning more money than me. I should have more lectures than him, or I should become Mahamandleshwar or something of that sort." So these things are to be taken very in a very broad perspective, and then we can only say something. Of course, as Swamiji said, we or JK said, total understanding of total fear is a must. When you see the total fear, how it takes place and why it takes place, then you get some relief. Otherwise, whenever fear is there, some pleasurable memories will also be there, because one cannot remain under this energy of fear or negative energy of fear. So he is also having some positive, pleasurable memories, and he is taking or he is enjoying those energies. As JK says that one goes for the escape, or he goes for the escape basically. He goes for the entertainment. He goes for the other habits like drinking and all that. So things are to be seen in the wide perspective, and then only we can say something. Thank you.
Thank you, Waghmare. Chidanandji, would you please say something now? Say
Yes.
at least for 10 minutes, please.
Ah,
Choiceless awareness is also a choice.
ah, ah. Just a moment. I am turning my video on.
Thank you.
Well, choiceless awareness, is it also a choice? No, it is not. However, when we put in effort, when we say, okay, next 5 minutes I'm going to stay in choiceless awareness, then it becomes a choice, then it is no more choiceless awareness. Therefore, while much is said about choiceless awareness, it happens when it happens. We cannot bring it to, to this scenario by willing it, by noticing the limitation, the um, conditioning associated with choosing to be aware. If I choose to be aware, right away the self is operating. My mind will say, finally, I am observing without choice choosing. I wasn't so skilled in this before. Now look, today at last. Am I not observing without choice? Wow, it's time to pat myself on the back. It's time to celebrate. I'm just exaggerating to show how the self dances in all its nakedness. When you make choiceless awareness a matter of willing and choosing. So though it is uh, proposed to be what we got to have, so we must be having choiceless awareness. That kind of message may seem to come, but actually no. Finally, all these beautiful things happen only when we develop a better awareness of the false duality, as Krishnaji often clarified. Attention itself is the way to attention, he said. And then he added, you actually can only notice inattention. Whether I am attentive at this moment is not a matter for me to notice, observe. Am I inattentive? Have I gone on a trip to some other thought irrelevant to the matter? Am I, even as I am talking to, let's say, this lady, My mind is 200 miles away, thinking of some family over there. So we get into various forms of distraction, and we could be more aware of it. We could. So as we study, as we discuss, as we take part in such dialogues, a certain understanding rises in us that yes, I am many times not aware at all where my mind goes. So that understanding itself initiates enhanced awareness in daily life. So all these discussions, study is not a waste. On the contrary, it awakens in us what should actually be with us. It was that ability to pay attention in a manner of saying was in us, dormant in us, but we never woke it up or awakened it. So it gets awakened in these discussions, sometimes by carefully listening to a speaker. Sometimes, even as some of us try to speak on it, we find, oh, I'm trying to speak on this topic, but I don't seem to have clarity on it. We find that we are not able to articulate, we are not able to express properly. But then, behind that inability to express, there could be maybe we're not equipped with the right language, which is less of a problem. But language is not the issue. I'm not able to articulate because I just don't know it clearly. So then we say, oh, then let me inquire. Therefore, inquiring and reflecting on something that we have heard or read brings to us an ability to notice distraction, notice inattention. In that noticing, at the right time, when it happens, we don't know. This inattention goes away. Then there is choiceless awareness. I heard Dineshji, Prasad Garu, and in the beginning, Shakti Kumar. Very nice, very wonderful points. And Shakti Kumar saying that Krishnaji perhaps did not like the idea of the pure self because the moment the word self is used, it brings into the picture a certain personal dimension. The self in me, the self, the very word self seems to connote or denote a certain personal dimension. And the truth is impersonal. The uh, state of being when the self is not. The state of pure love, you may call, when the self says goodbye. The self subsides, self just dies. That is no more personal. It's not anybody's personal property. Intelligence is operating, but there is nobody to claim any rewards of that operation or any hazards or risks of that operation. Nobody to claim. There is just understanding, there is just knowing, the sense of, I understood and other guys did not understand. That, or I did not understand. Everybody seems to be understanding. That kind of drawing lines between others and us comes across as shallow, as erroneous. So that perception truly leads to a different way of living. It's all about a different way of living. That's where I understand why. Yeah, why Krishnaji sometimes got irritated and annoyed also when somebody with Vedanta background said, "What about the pure self?" Where did you get this idea of the pure self? What is this? That's another self only, another separate entity. He has expressed annoyance. and irritation he has rejected. The Buddha also very much avoided pointing to some eternal self, at least as far as the popular literature goes. Some give interpretation of the Buddha where they say Buddha actually believed in God, but he did not want to talk. Buddha actually believed in pure self, but did not want to talk about it. Such explanations are given by some people. But in most of the literature, Buddha intensely made a case for ending of the ego, ending of the separate self, and full stop. He did not propose some more deeper and permanent self, and so on. Therefore, it is rightly said that though there may be much parallels between Vedanta, Ramana, Nisargadatta, etc., with Sri Krishnamurti, um, to a great extent, Krishnamurti's teachings are much closer to Buddhism than to any of these Shankara, Ramana, Nisargadatta, and so on. People, experts say that, and there is some truth in it. On the whole, this topic today, fear corrupts the mind. Yes, I agree with Dineshji that the corrupt is a very strong word. Distorts would be more appropriate. It distorts, but then when there is distortion, some impurity comes into the picture. Corruption is used, I think, in the sense of certain impurities, because when we are pure, we love others' interest and ours' interest. We want to take all together, take them together. But when there is impurity, we say, I don't care what happens to others. I will get what I want and get going. So that is an impurity. That selfishness is an impurity. And corruption mainly means getting impure, losing the quality of purity. Thank you. I'll stay with you for some more time. Please continue the discussion. Thank you.
Sushilji, Sushilji,
Yeah.
if you permit me, I want to raise a question with Swamiji.
Why not? You are always welcome.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Yes, sir.
Swamiji, I entirely agree with you that Krishnaji was very impatient with the concept of the big self or
Yeah.
capital self or super
Or
self, whatever you call it.
Paul Brunton called it over self.
Whatever we call it, he is very impatient with that. And because what we really, what we can see, what we can notice objectively is only our little self. Our little self is evident in all our actions, in all our talk, in the way we talk, in the way we walk, everywhere. Our self is quite evident. The super self is only a speculation, is only a recording in Gita or Upanishads or whatever. So he is impatient. But he has a concept of intelligence. What is that intelligence? He says intelligence is not personal. It is not yours. It is not mine. It is something universal. Can we say it is that intelligence takes the place of super self? The super self is only intelligence. Can we regard it like that? And another thing, this choiceless awareness, I don't think it can be called super self because it's a process. The way you become aware without condemnation, without justification. And awareness is not an exercise. It is something that happens naturally. It should happen naturally. It is not something very, it is not an exercise in which I can will myself into choiceless awareness. It is not like that. I think for me it appears that intelligence possibly can take the place of the big self. I don't know your comments on this. I want it.
Say the last sentence again. Intelligence can take the place of.
Yes. What?
Yeah,
Waiting.
yes, very much so, very much so. Yes.
Adeen wanted to ask a question. Let him ask, please.
Intelligence is a better expression for what remains when the self subsides. Intelligence is operating. That's about it. The very word self can mislead many people. So we appreciate that outlook.
Adeen wanted to ask a question. Please, Adeen, ask directly. No question from Adeen? No question from Adeen? Unable to unmute. Modak, please help him to unmute, please. Adeen is not able to unmute. He is requesting. Can you help
Can
him?
you all hear me?
Yeah. We are
Can-
hearing you.
Okay, sorry, I'm outside. That's why I typed the question. I hope my voice is clear. So my basic question is regarding the duality and the corruption. So today's topic was on fear, but there are so many other topics we can speak about, like sorrow or suffering or desire also came up today in the discussion as becoming. But always there is this duality as me and my feeling, me and the other. So we feel we can do something about the feeling, and the me can continue as the me can do something about the feeling, as if it's like clothes. You can change your clothes, so you can change your feelings, but the me will remain. But then still we have this duality. So without ending of the me, how can fear end? Because the duality is still there. The separation of thinker and thought is still there. So I wanted to ask about the ending of the me. Yeah, that is my question. Can you all hear me?
Chidanandji, he wanted answer.
I can say two sentences. In as much as the me is built of memories, the me is made of conditionings. This operation of intelligence will bring about ending of the me. Just like if at a distance there is some kind of a pole or a stump of a tree, but you think somebody is standing there. Once you throw a beam of light, you open a torch, you turn on a flashlight, then you find that, oh, it was just a stump of a tree. Nobody was standing there. All that was my imagination. I imagined that there was some man with a little pistol in his hand. He was even coming towards me. Many forms of imagination rose. But once you throw a beam of light and see clearly, there is no man at all, leave alone he's approaching me, he's trying to shoot or fire a bullet at me and so on. No question. Likewise, this me, which you and I are very fond of, we have been nurturing, nourishing. If it's a plant, we have been watering this plant of this me. Upon inquiry, upon watching carefully, the intelligence notices it, and one by one, various layers of that ego, that self, that me fall off, and it ends. So, in one sentence, operation of intelligence can bring the me to an end.
Pradeep ji, please unmute and say. Pradeep ji, please unmute. Modak, please help him to unmute. Yeah, please go on.
If you want me to say something?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Actually, there is not much to say. Everything is so clear, so clear. All of them, especially Swamiji, today's Californian effect, I could see, because in cold temperatures, he, he spoke so consolidated everything. He has included virtually everything. And if everybody is asking that how to be choicelessly aware, then again the same trap is there. Krishnamurti has talked about this trap very often. You want to know how to get it? But first thing is, do we realize that choices which are usually based on the past, some likings, and repeatability is demanded. So this is very true that we are not in the present. We want something to be repeated. So it is so very clear. In fact, today there is no question, there is no inquiry, there is nothing, no reactions. Everything is so very clear, become empty, freedom from the self moment to moment. And it happens, and it does happen. It can happen depending on each one's conditioning, attachments, longings. So this is so clear. We have been it. I think don't think there are enough more words are required to see within me, each one of us, whether I become empty or I am still longing for something. I am still looking for something. I still want continuity. I am still afraid of death. I am still afraid of this and that and that and that attachments. So it is for each one of us to see. No discussion is required for this. To me, mind it. Otherwise, people may feel offended that we have said so many things and this fellow is saying that it's not required. So this is a purely my experience of living life. So uh, otherwise, it is that same myth of Sisyphus rolling the rock up there, and then again it comes back, again do the same thing, and accumulating, because this is a era of knowledge. I find that those people who have succeeded in life, they are very much for collecting information. Any source, they will come to you, visit your house only to get some information. What is happening, so that this can be used as a check, blank check for to be used somewhere. So this is up to each one of us how attentive we are and how attached we are. Everything, I'll be repeating only those words which have already been uh, mm, very lucidly this thing said by Swamiji. it was a very good good presentation. So nothing much to say. It all relates to me. Everything always, and it is always me in the sense ki I have to survive as body and mind both, and how mind corrupts body, and the body, if you don't listen to body, what happens? Body has a very beautiful language. It tells you virtually everything. Everything. What may come up, what is happening, which food is doing what environmental factors are affecting, especially this um, terrible heat around. I have never seen such type of heat around. With aging, of course, you feel it more. This the same heat. So this is that clear. So I won't take your much time. Thank you very much, friends. This is very clear.
Modak,
Absolutely.
please end it. Modak, please